In 1971, a psychology professor turned college students into prisoners and guards. Within days, the guards were torturing people. The prisoners were breaking down. The experiment had to be shut down after 6 days because it became too dangerous. For 50 years, this experiment has been used to prove that good people turn evil when given power. But almost everything you've been told about the Stanford Prison Experiment is a lie. August 1971. Stanford University basement. Philip Zimbardo, a psychology professor, wanted to understand why prisons were so brutal. He believed it wasn't because guards were bad people. He thought the prison environment itself turned normal people into monsters. So he created a fake prison to test his theory. He put an ad in the newspaper. Volunteers needed for a psychology study about prison life. 75 young men responded. Zimbardo interviewed them and selected 24. All were white middle-class college students. All were psychologically stable. All were paid $15 per day. None of them had criminal records. These weren't violent people. They were ordinary students who needed money. Zimbardo randomly assigned roles. 12 would be prisoners, 12 would be guards. The prisoners were told to wait at home. On a Sunday morning, real police showed up at their houses. They were arrested for armed robbery. Handcuffed, read their rights, put in police cars while neighbors watched. Taken to the station, fingerprinted, blindfolded, then driven to Stanford's basement. The basement had been transformed. Cell bars, prison uniforms, guard towers. Everything designed to feel real. When the blindfolds came off, the prisoners saw their new home. 3 small cells, 6 feet by 9 feet. 3 prisoners per cell. A closet converted into solitary confinement. Completely dark, barely big enough to stand in. The prisoners were stripped naked, searched for lice, deloused, given numbers instead of names. Prisoner 8,612. Prisoner 819. Prisoner 5,486. They had to wear smocks with their numbers on the front and back. No underwear underneath. A chain locked around one ankle. A stocking cap to simulate having their heads shaved. They were no longer college students with names and identities. They were numbers. The guards received khaki uniforms, wooden batons, mirrored sunglasses so prisoners couldn't see their eyes. No training except 3 rules. No physical violence. Maintain order. Make prisoners obey. That was it. No instructions on how to be a guard. No guidelines on punishment. Just keep control however you want. Zimbardo gave himself a role too. He wasn't just the researcher observing, he became the prison superintendent. He was inside the experiment, running it, controlling it, making decisions. This was his first mistake. Day 1 started quietly. The guards were awkward. They didn't know what to do. The prisoners treated it like a game, making jokes, testing boundaries. It felt like college students playing pretend. But Zimbardo wanted it to feel real. So he told the guards to establish dominance, show the prisoners who was in charge. Day 2, 2 in the morning. The guards woke everyone up for a count, screaming, banging batons against cell bars, making prisoners do push-ups. If anyone did them wrong, another prisoner had to sit on their back while they did more. The count lasted hours. Not because they needed to count 12 people, because the guards wanted to assert power. Then the prisoners rebelled. They barricaded themselves in their cells using their beds. They ripped off their prisoner numbers. They mocked the guards. They refused to come out. This was the turning point. The guards panicked. They called in reinforcements from the night shift. They used fire extinguishers to force prisoners away from the doors. They burst into the cells, stripped the prisoners naked, took their beds away, put the ringleaders in solitary confinement. Then the guards got creative with punishment. They created a privilege cell. The prisoners who didn't rebel got special treatment. Real beds, good food, washing privileges. The ones who rebelled got nothing. This broke the prisoner solidarity. They started turning on each other, blaming each other. The rebellion ended. By day 3, the abuse escalated. The guards forced prisoners to clean toilets with their bare hands. They made them do jumping jacks until they collapsed. They wouldn't let them use the bathroom. Prisoners had to beg for permission. Sometimes the guards said no just to humiliate them. Grown men urinating on themselves because a college student with a wooden baton said they couldn't use the toilet. Prisoner 8612 started breaking down. He began screaming, crying uncontrollably, saying he wanted out. Zimbardo didn't release him immediately. He thought the prisoner was faking to escape the study. He offered a deal. You can be an informant. Tell us if the other prisoners are planning another rebellion. The prisoner agreed, but the crying got worse. The screaming got louder. Finally, after 36 hours, Zimbardo let him go. One prisoner released, day 3, 33 hours into what was supposed to be a 2-week study. The guards invented new humiliations. They made prisoners simulate sex acts with each other. They forced them to repeat degrading phrases. I am a worthless prisoner. I have no rights. I exist to obey. Some prisoners refused. Those ones went into the hole, the closet, pitch black, no space to move, hours at a time. One guard became particularly cruel. His shift was nicknamed the John Wayne shift because he walked around like a movie cowboy, twirling his baton, speaking in an exaggerated tough guy accent. He created elaborate punishments. He made prisoners count to 1,000,000. When they made a mistake, they started over. He invented the nicknames. He pushed boundaries further than the others. Day 4, a rumor spread that prisoner 8612 was planning to break back in and free everyone. Zimbardo took it seriously. He moved the entire prison to another floor. He told the guards to be ready for an attack. They waited. Hours passed. No one came, because there was no plan. It was a rumor, or maybe paranoia. But Zimbardo believed it. He was so deep in his role as superintendent that he thought college students were planning a prison break. A Catholic priest was brought in to interview prisoners, not as part of the experiment, as a favor to make it more realistic. The prisoners talked to him like he could actually help them. They asked about lawyers, bail, parole hearings. They forgot this wasn't real. When the priest asked for their names, half of them gave their prisoner numbers instead. They had internalized their roles completely. Day 5. Prisoner 819 broke down, crying hysterically. Zimbardo took him to a restroom away from the others. While they were gone, the guards lined up the remaining prisoners. They made them chant, "Prisoner 819 is a bad prisoner. Prisoner 819 did a bad thing." Over and over. Prisoner 819 could hear them through the wall. He was sobbing, telling Zimbardo he couldn't go back. Zimbardo said, "You want to leave?" The prisoner said yes. Zimbardo said, "Then go back in there and tell them you're not a bad prisoner. Prove them wrong." The prisoner started to get up to defend himself. Then Zimbardo stopped. He realized what he was doing. This wasn't a prisoner. This was a college student having a breakdown. And Zimbardo, the researcher, the scientist, had been acting like a prison superintendent, more concerned about his prison than the person in front of him. That moment broke the spell, for Zimbardo at least. But the experiment didn't stop then. It kept going, because Zimbardo wanted more data. He wanted to see how far it would go. Day 6. Christina Maslach, Zimbardo's girlfriend and a psychology graduate student, came to observe. She had heard about the experiment but hadn't seen it. Zimbardo walked her through, showed her the prisoners with bags over their heads being led to the bathroom, guards yelling at them, prisoners shuffling with chains around their ankles. Christina watched for a few minutes. Then she started crying. She turned to Zimbardo and said, "What you are doing to those boys is terrible." Out of 50 people who had observed the experiment, she was the only one who objected. The only one who said this is wrong. Not the other researchers. Not the guards' parents who visited. Not the priest. Just her. Zimbardo ended the experiment the next morning. 6 days. Of a planned 14. He gathered everyone. Told them it was over. Some prisoners cheered. Others cried. The guards seemed disappointed, like they wanted to keep going. Everyone was paid, debriefed, sent home, and Zimbardo began telling the world what he discovered. That the situation creates behavior. That good people become evil when placed in bad systems. That we're all capable of cruelty given the right circumstances. For 50 years, this experiment was taught in every psychology class. It was in textbooks, documentaries, movies. It became proof that human nature is dark, that power corrupts absolutely, that prison systems turn guards into abusers. It justified Zimbardo's theory, and he built his career on it. But then, researchers started looking closer. They found the archives, the recordings, the notes, and they discovered the truth. The Stanford Prison Experiment wasn't what Zimbardo claimed. It was staged. First problem. The guards weren't just told to maintain order. Zimbardo explicitly instructed them to create fear. He told them to make prisoners feel powerless. He coached them on how to be cruel. This wasn't emergent behavior from the situation. This was following directions from the authority running the study. The guards, who were most abusive, later admitted they thought that's what Zimbardo wanted. They were performing for the researcher. Second problem, not all guards were abusive. Only about a third acted cruelly. Another third were tough but fair. The final third actively helped prisoners and undermined the cruel guards. This destroys the idea that the situation automatically creates behavior. If the environment made people evil, all the guards would have been evil. But they weren't. Some chose kindness even in that setting. Third problem, the prisoners weren't passive victims. They weren't broken by the situation. Many of them were actively performing, playing the role they thought they were supposed to play. One prisoner later admitted he faked his breakdown because he wanted to leave early and had a conflict that week. He wasn't traumatized. He was acting. Other prisoners said they went along with it because they thought that's what the study required. They were helping Zimbardo get interesting results. Fourth problem. Zimbardo wasn't a neutral observer. He was the superintendent. He was inside the experiment manipulating it. When guards weren't cruel enough, he encouraged more aggression. When prisoners tried to leave, he convinced them to stay. He rejected prisoner requests that were legitimate. He escalated situations that were calming down. He created the environment he wanted to study. Then he claimed the environment created the behavior naturally. Fifth problem. The sample was biased. The participants weren't random. They responded to an ad about a prison study. People interested in prison dynamics. Maybe people already curious about power and domination. When researchers reanalyzed the volunteers, they found higher than average levels of aggression and lower than average levels of empathy. These weren't average people. They were people predisposed to the behaviors Zimbardo wanted to see. Sixth problem, demand characteristics. Participants in psychology studies try to figure out what the researcher wants and give it to them. The guards knew Zimbardo wanted dramatic results, so they performed dramatically. The prisoners knew they were supposed to feel oppressed, so they acted oppressed. Everyone was playing a role in Zimbardo's theatrical production, not revealing deep truths about human nature. The most damning evidence came from the guard with the John Wayne accent, the cruelest one. Years later, he admitted he was performing. He based his character on a movie he'd just seen, Cool Hand Luke, a prison film with a sadistic guard. He thought that's what Zimbardo wanted, a villain, so he became one. It wasn't the situation turning him evil, it was an acting choice. So what really happened at the Stanford Prison Experiment? A charismatic professor recruited volunteers, coached them to behave cruelly, manipulated the environment to create drama, ignored ethical boundaries, then claimed he discovered that situations create behavior. But he didn't discover that. He created a situation and then directed people how to behave in it. It wasn't science. It was theater. Bad theater with real psychological harm. But the damage was done. For 50 years, the Stanford Prison Experiment has been used to explain Abu Ghraib, to justify why prison guards abuse inmates, to argue that systems, not individuals, are responsible for cruelty. It let people off the hook. It said you're not a bad person, the situation made you do it, and that's dangerous, because it removes accountability. The truth is more complicated and more hopeful. Situations do influence behavior, but they don't control it. Some guards in Zimbardo's study chose cruelty. Others chose kindness, in the same environment, with the same instructions. They made different choices. Because humans have agency. We're not puppets of our environment. We're moral actors who choose our behavior even under pressure. The Stanford Prison Experiment doesn't prove that power corrupts. It proves that some people abuse power when given permission and encouragement, and that researchers can manipulate studies to confirm their biases, and that we should question famous experiments before accepting them as truth. Philip Zimbardo became famous, rich, influential. He testified as an expert witness in trials. He consulted for prisons. He wrote best-selling books, all based on a fraudulent experiment. And when researchers exposed the flaws, he defended it, doubled down, insisted his findings were real. The lesson isn't that situations make us evil. The lesson is that authority figures can manipulate people into cruelty if given permission. That people will perform roles they think are expected, that researchers aren't objective observers, that science can be twisted to support ideology, that famous studies need skepticism, not blind acceptance. Good people don't automatically become monsters in bad situations. Good people make choices. Some choose cruelty, some choose kindness. The situation influences those choices, but it doesn't determine them. And that's the truth Zimbardo should have discovered. If he'd been an honest scientist instead of a director trying to make his hypothesis into reality. The Stanford Prison Experiment isn't proof of human darkness. It's proof of academic fraud. And 50 years later, we're still teaching it as fact, still using it to excuse cruelty, still believing a lie because the real story is less dramatic, less publishable, less famous. That's what really happened. Not what Zimbardo told you, not what the textbooks say, not what the movies show. The truth. And the truth is more disturbing than the experiment itself. Because it means we've been wrong about human nature for half a century, based on a study that was designed to deceive us from the start.